Hi there and welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Have you had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel yet? If not, take a second, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to like and share. What style of learning suits you best? Have you ever considered that? In fact, there's 7 different learning styles. It's important to identify what learning style you are so it can help you learn the best for you. The great thing about it is there's not only one type of learning that works best for you. You possibly could use lots of different learning styles in different situations. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the different learning styles so that you can identify what ones work best for you. The first one is the visual learner, looking at pictures or seeing text in front of you, possibly having a lot of images that will help you learn a concept. The next one would be verbal. Auditory, in the sense that you're listening to the words being said to you. Perhaps you're listening to an audio book, that sort of thing. You digest the information you're learning auditorily. It also could be auditory / music. Putting something to music makes you learn easier. It could be kinesthetic or physical, using your body to learn, touching things, doing things actually hands-on. That's the way you learn best. It can also be when you are doing social, and perhaps you learn better in groups. Learning with a small group or working with another person, that learning style works best for you. Some people are solitary learners where they do self-study. That works best for them. The other one is verbal. Sometimes people learn best by talking. So they've digested the information and they talk it out. So they verbally talk about what they've learned. Other people are logical or mathematical. They're more systems-based or logic model focused on their learning. So in some situations, whether it's in school or at work, when you're learning a concept, you may use one style that works for you. Perhaps when you're studying for an exam or a test, you'll use a different one. I remember in high school, I used to write out my notes, reread what I wrote, looked at pictures that would trigger me, and I was good to go. But after I lost my vision, that visual part was gone. So I had to learn to adapt to an auditory learner. So by listening to audiobooks, listening to what people are saying, digesting it auditory, and then verbalizing it, repeating it, talking to myself, hashing out concepts out loud so I could hear it back. I remember in university studying to music, and people thought, how can you study to music? Well, what I was doing was I was putting the information I was learning on art history to music. So I'd select a song that I absolutely loved, and I would set the information of the different art historians to that, so that when I was in the exam, I could imagine that song and the information started to flow back into my mind. Crazy, right? All these different learning styles worked differently for me. Growing up, I was definitely a solitary learner. I studied by myself. I did best by myself. But after I lost my vision and as I grew older, I found that I was more a social learner. I wanted to interact with others. I wanted to bounce ideas off, have a conversation about it to see what others' points were, if I was missing something. So now I learn better in groups of people. But it's not always going to be so cut and dry. Every situation is going to be different. Put yourself in your workplace. They offer you webinars. They offer you online courses. They also offer in-person training sessions. All of them meeting the needs of different learning styles. Perhaps they're going to have you do something that's visual, and then maybe they'll have you do something that's auditory. They're going to get you up and move and do group activities. They're going to integrate all the different learning styles into one training session. So they're hitting all the different types of styles of learning, and that makes for a really great teacher to be able to integrate different learning styles, not only to keep the students engaged, but also to meet everybody's learning styles. As a teacher, it's important for us to find out the different styles of learning that work best for our students, because then we can set them up for success. It's hard for us to identify what style works best for us unless we're actually noticing it. For so many years, I just did what I did best. Whatever worked for me is what I did. I didn't identify with what style of learning it was. It wasn't until I went to Teachers College and I learned about the different styles of learning that I actually start to pay attention to it. Now, when I'm surrounded by different people, whether it's students, peers, co-workers, I can tell right off the bat what style of learning they are. And I have, in fact, accommodated that in the way that I work with them. Perhaps I'm working with a coworker that I noticed thinks best when they're walking and moving. I accommodated by doing that with them. Or for somebody that did better with visuals, I would send them a PowerPoint presentation so they could digest it that way. Understanding your own personal learning style will help you be successful. It'll also help you advocate for your needs. Spend some time looking at what the different learning styles are and try different situations out for yourself in your everyday life, whether it's something you're doing for personal use, for work, for school, whatever it might be. Identify your learning styles, but don't get so caught up in thinking that's the only way you're going to learn, because every situation is different and you can always learn to adapt. When I didn't have a choice but to adapt, I was easily adapted after time and practice. Everybody can adapt to the different styles of learning. Find out what works best for you. Take the time, talk about it with others, see what their styles are. Perhaps they've tried something different that you haven't even experienced before. And I encourage you all to learn together, find out what works best for you, and then you'll notice a great sense of success. For teachers, I encourage all teachers to make sure they know their students' learning styles and to integrate them all into your lesson plans. Until next time, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share, and I'll catch you next time.